Hello, everybody. As our attendees file into the room, just want to say I'm glad to be back. This is one of the favorite things I get to do at Workbook, and as always, I always want to thank Heather for bringing this entire concept of the webinar and this topic, this where we are now conversation to the table. It's been a long time. We've started this a really long time ago, back in March, which feels like 100 years. But I'd love to start off by welcoming everyone today. We're going to be speaking about the Artist Management Association and talking with all of the wonderful board members. So let's start by introducing each one of them. I'd like to start with Howard Bernstein. He is AMA. We're going to be saying AMA moving forward, Artist Management Association. Howard Bernstein is the AMA co-vice president, and he is the managing partner at Attribute. Next is my cohort, Heather Elder. She's going to be a panelist on this event. Heather is the AMA treasurer and founder of Artist Management Group Heather Elder represents. Stacy Fisher is here. She is the AMA director at large. She's also the founder and president of Exposure New York. My old friend Carol LaFluffy is here. I'm sure I pronounced your name totally incorrectly, even though I practiced it before you joined us this morning.
Close enough, Heidi, close enough. No worries.
You know what? You're a generous soul. Thank you. Anyways, Carol is also with the AMA, and she's a director at large, and she's a photographer, agent, and owner at iForward. Also, Kelly Montez is here with us. She is the AMA president, CEO, and executive producer at Apostrophe. Today, unfortunately, we had two of the board members that weren't able to join us, but I really want to mention them. Vanessa Stevens from VS & Company and Jen Jenkins at Giant Artists. They are on the board and unfortunately were unable to attend today. Jen Jenkins is the founder and company director at Giant Artists, and Vanessa Stevens is the president of VS and Company. Jen is the co-vice president of AMA, and Vanessa Stevens is AMA communications director. I'm Heidi Governman. I feel like anybody tuning in probably knows who I am, but I work at Workbook and I get to do wonderful things like this. So welcome, everybody. So glad that you all could join us. We've been talking about this one for a while, and I'm super excited that it's actually happening. So I'd like to just start off with a question to Kelly. What is the AMA? How did it get started? And what is the difference between an association and a union? Feel free to, go at those one at a time.
Sure, that's a big question. So the AMA,
it is, right?
Yeah, the AMA is the Artist Management Association, and there's a lot of people that have been working towards the goal of the AMA for quite some time. The 7 founding board members, the fact that we ended up coming together was a very random chance. Stacy had been having conversations with other New York agents earlier in 2020 before the pandemic. And Stacy and I happened to use the same consultant for staffing. And that consultant knew that I had been talking to Carol and to Jen Jenkins because we happen to have the same lawyer. And over the years, I feel fortunate enough to be friends with Heather Elder, and I looped her in the conversation as well as Howard. And we started to have bigger, productive conversations about how can we make change in this industry. I think we all came out of the recession in 2007 and 2008 and saw some major changes to our industry that were troubling. And we wanted to make sure that everyone in our industry had a voice, a platform for which to stand. And that's what brought us together. I think it's important for people to understand that our organization is not a union. A union serves to promote workers within an industry, and an association serves to promote the industry itself. And this is the distinction that makes all the difference. We're really working to create the legislative branch of the non-union stills world.
You did all three. That was very successful. I was like clicking them off. I asked them too much. That was awesome, and I'm getting a better understanding. Stacy, if you could, take the next question. Is there anyone not on this call that should be that we should be talking about with in terms of being credited with helping move this along over the years?
I mean, I think that this has truly been a group effort. Anyone who was members of SPAR or ASMAP in the past, all of these groups and so many people have paved the way in the past to create this association, and we want to thank everybody for those efforts. I do want to, of course, thank Vanessa and Jen, who couldn't be with us today, but Kyle Kilness, who Kelly spoke about, the consultant that we both use for hiring. He and his associate Lee have been incredible in keeping us on point and scheduling our Zooms every week and moving us along. I also want to thank Tonic, which is the company that created our website, and they were incredible and moved really quickly for us. We were really keen to get this launched as quickly as possible. And then I want to also call out Anne de Boucheron, who was really helpful on the New York side when we started having meetings this past winter and starting the conversation in New York about some kind of association.
Thank you. I want to throw it back to Kelly again. So what do you have? What do you have to do to assure that you're adhering to the rules of the organization, and what role is legal playing in it? Apparently, I can't ask you a singular question at a time, so always going to take it down.
That's okay. Legal is playing a really big role in everything that we do. And as in the very beginning, when we all came together, we spoke to a lawyer immediately to talk about what are the parameters of what a trade organization can discuss. How do we avoid any sort of antitrust issues? That's exceptionally important to us. It can sometimes be a bit daunting to navigate these waters because you want to make sure that you can affect change, and you'll ask yourself, well, if I can't talk about pricing, if I can't explore that, then what can I do? And that's where this group has really leaned into how can we educate our industry, because we feel strongly that providing resources and education to everyone allows them to make informed decisions about their business and allows them to pass that information on to clients about why we're making these decisions. So consulting with our legal team constantly with the launch of the website and with any outbound communication throughout this entire process.
I'm getting a question in, and since you just mentioned the website, I have a lot of people, or at least two, a lot, that are asking what the website is. Is that something that you guys are able to share at this moment?
In terms of the address, it's artistmanagementassociation.org.
And in a little bit, we'll take you on a little tour of the website, but for sure, go take a peek.
Yeah, perfectly. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. They came up and you just said website. I want to move to Howard right now. How are you different than the AICP?
The AICP represents the interests of commercial production companies. The AMA represents our interests as artist managers and representatives. They've been around for over 30 years and they've been quite successful in making positive advancements in our industry. And we hope to, in time be equally impactful. One major difference is unions and labor negotiations. So they are in their business and on set, it's usually union jobs. And whether it's directors unions, Teamsters, or talent unions, they get involved in those kind of negotiations. We're going to table that at this time.
Fair enough. Carol, I'd like to ask you, when do you anticipate the association launching?
Well, it's funny you should just ask about the website, because today is really our official launch, and we're so happy that we can share the website, which has been an incredibly long project, which Vanessa Stevens, who sadly couldn't be with us today, one of our board members, really spearheaded with Tonic, who Stacy mentioned, did an incredible job designing the site. The site is live as of last night, and we are officially launched. We are a registered 501c. We are a real company and a real entity, and all of us are just like super excited and super grateful that we've come together. Interesting timing also during the pandemic when things were slower, we all had the time. And as someone mentioned, we meet every week and we've really pushed the ball forward, and we're really excited today that we can say that we've officially launched.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that.
Well,
So-
and by officially launching, sorry, I'm going to just interrupt. By officially launching, it means also we can invite the whole community in with us now. We're ready to kind of start the conversations and get more people involved and get more people excited about it. So hopefully the webinar today will serve as a launching point along with the website for the community to kind of just start getting involved.
Yeah, and we'll share on the chat box the website address, but I think Vanessa already mentioned it. Please visit the site. Please take a look. We're really proud of it. There's, of course, more to be added, but it's a great, great start. So
Well, that really leads perfectly into my next question to Howard, which is, what is the association's short-term goals and priorities for the first year, and what are the long-term goals? So you get a compound question as well.
Thank you, Heidi. So our goal is to become the collective voice of our community and to be able to make that voice heard throughout the industry. Our long-term goal is to affect change on behalf of our business and legal affairs, from business and legal affairs to legislation, education, and diversity. This year, we hope to have many of you join us. So that would really be our initial goal. And for those of you that are inclined to participate, there are several committees that you can join that are now presently listed on the website. There's been a ton of work, as Stacy said before, and Kelly, there's been a ton of work done so far, but it's really just the beginning, and the success of an organization like this is really going to depend on you. So thank you.
Okay, so I want to move into the management sort of portion of this. Howard, how will AMA be managed? I mean, I think you just were talking about committees and so on, but I think a more overview global answer here. How will it be managed, and will there be a board of directors?
So right now, there is a board of directors, and that'll be the governing board. We worked with an attorney to create bylaws. We are now, as Carol just said, a registered 501c Delaware nonprofit corporation. Right now, the board consists of 7 members. According to our bylaws, we can go up to 15. Each board member is elected for a 2-year period. And we plan to have an annual meeting this coming March 31st, 2001. And at that time, we can increase numbers based on votes.
Okay, Stacy, will the AMA be hiring someone right away to manage it? And what will the responsibilities of that person be?
We are actively starting to interview people. And we'll be posting the job description in the coming days. And our initial hire will, I think the initial thing that's super important is to spearhead community outreach. We want as many members as possible. If somebody is on this and you know of an agency that doesn't know about us, please spread the word. And also, besides that, of course, they'll have an administrative role and help run the organization with us. If anyone wants to apply for the role or knows someone who would be perfect for it, please go to our website and take a look and apply.
Perfect. So I want to move to you, Heather. Howard mentioned committees. You know, what there'll be committees, but how do you choose committee heads? What will be some of the committees?
Yeah, sure. Kelly will take us on a little tour of the site and you'll see the section where it outlines this, but we will absolutely have committees. They'll be crucial to the success of the organization. And volunteering for a committee will give every member that extra voice and an opportunity to kind of shape the direction of where we're headed. You can see all of the committees on the site, but they range from community, education, production resources, legislation, finances, partnerships. And I suspect the more that we hear from the members about what's important to them, obviously the more committees we will be adding. So, and I think your other question was about committee heads, and we'll leave that up to the committees themselves. We'll figure out who's on the committees, and then they themselves can determine who will head up the committee.
Can I also add that joining a committee is not a lifetime commitment. We're looking to have committees that do focused amount of work for 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, so that people have a way to come in and be involved and give the time that they are able to give, given the rest of their work. We want to create multiple different options for people to participate, because that's what's important. It's not about the founding board members. We're doing this because we want to reach out to the broader community and say, what are your concerns? What are your issues? What do we need to tackle as a group?
And we're also hoping that the committees will be as diverse as possible between agencies. We want small agencies, big agencies, fashion, commercial. We're hoping that they'll be as diverse as possible, so we'll get everyone's point of views.
Well, and I would add to that it's been really exciting. When I first joined this group, I've learned so much, and I'm putting words into people's mouths here, but I would think so much of one of the reasons we're in this business is because we are entrepreneurs and we have small businesses and we're doing this on our own, but you end up being in a vacuum. So I've learned so much from how other people manage their business and what their staffing needs are and how they, what their business models are. So if we can come together on different committees that we're interested in, not only will you be moving that committee ahead and moving the AMA ahead, but you'll be learning from each other in a way that you wouldn't have had an opportunity to do so. So don't hesitate to join a committee because you think you might not have the time. There's no time commitment. You just give what you can. And my guess is it'll be a positive experience and you'll just be more available for it.
I want to, there's a question that came in live, and for those of us who've joined late, what is AMA? So I'm just going to tell you again what it stands for. Artist Management Association. These are the founding board members, and some of the founding board members, there's other people. We're not going to go back in the program to explain that, although they're all incredibly important to the process. But again, it is the AMA, is the Artist Management Association. And Carol, will the AMA be open to industry sponsors? Asking for a friend.
Well, in fact, today we're really happy to do this in conjunction with you, Heidi, and Workbook, and we will be moving forward looking for ways to partner with people in the industry, to create events, hopefully. Education, as we've mentioned, is a really important committee. We will need partnership. We're also hoping, as we move forward, to create some alliances with vendors that will perhaps create members perks. In other words, ways that we can help agencies to, secure better rates on things moving forward. And definitely events like today, because we want to get our message out. We want people to know what we're doing, and partnering with people like Workbook is really important. We're trying to make the industry stronger. We're trying to create community amongst people, and I think that partnerships, strategic, partnering with different industry leaders and vendors will make all of us stronger. So
Okay.
There's a question that's in, or a statement in the chat that says that this trade organization is coming about when they feel like some of the other trade organizations are disappearing. And we aren't looking in any way to replace those organizations. If anything, that's where the partnership comes in. We really want everyone to have a voice in this industry, and what those other trade organizations are championing are causes where much of it we are aligned with, and so we're hoping to deepen those partnerships and raise everyone up.
Perfect, and thank you for addressing that. I appreciate you doing so. So let me move on to the benefits section, and somebody just asked a question about joining and requirements. That's part of the agenda, so that will be answered shortly. So back to you, Kelly. Can you explain some of the benefits of the association as it currently stands?
Sure. I think this is my cue to also take everybody through the website right now and share with you a little bit about what we are currently offering. And I'm just making sure I don't have anything embarrassing up on my screen. Okay. So here is our website. We're very proud of it, but it is absolutely a work in progress, and there's much more for us to add and to continue to develop with the rest of the community. We have a few resources for people to come and to take advantage of now, listing out some of the permitting offices and film offices from a state by state, so that you can check and see their open status and know right where to go, and look to see, for instance, in New York, are there any states that are on a travel ban there? This is a place where you can go and you can check on that. Understanding the terms and conditions. As we all hopefully know, Heather is amazing about education within our industry and has a wonderful blog. And we borrowed this from her blog, where she worked in conjunction with a lawyer to just walk through terms and conditions and help people to understand, what does sequential liability mean? What does this language around advances and payment terms, how do I break that down so that people could understand what it is that they're agreeing to? And then also we have a usage glossary, and this is just a definition of usage terms. We are absolutely open to feedback, absolutely want to know anything that we left off, but there sometimes can be 3 or 4 names for something, and we're just trying to hope to give everyone the same language to work from when they're putting together their bids and thinking about their pricing. So those are just a few things that we're currently offering. You can also find out about all of the different committees that we're looking for members to be a part of, and what each one of these committees could tackle. Again, open to feedback if there's another issue or another committee that people feel that we may need, as well as an opportunity to come and learn more about becoming a member and future benefits, and learn more about who the board of directors are. So again, it's just a start. We're looking for people to come and join committees with us and help us develop a universal bid form, or think about talent and location releases or templates that we can use for cancellation and weather days. There's lots of work we can do that gives everyone a baseline for which to build. How you take these templates, for instance, a COVID production checklist, how you tailor it for the project that you're working on or for your client, that is going to be unique to you and to your artist, but at least it's a place to start from and a place to educate our community.
That was really great.
That I used it today. We had an issue. We had an issue today with some new changes to COVID restrictions in Chicago, and everyone was like, "What's going on in Chicago?" I'm like, "I know exactly where to go look." And I went, and I looked, and I clicked, and we got our answers very quickly. So it was nice to know that, have the confidence to know exactly where I could go. So.
Well, and specifically on that, is there updating that's going to be going on continually?
Yeah.
So, and okay, with like dates when it was last updated, so people know.
Exactly. But that's also why we need that amazing employee that's out there, hopefully watching the webinar, so that we can make sure that we're staying on top of these things regularly.
I think that's really fair. Okay, so I want to move on. Heather, Kelly mentioned that you're a big proponent of education. I certainly have had that experience with you myself. You are. So can you take us through, will the association be focused on education and in how?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Education is a core value of the AMA. I mean, we've already touched on it a little bit, but there's so many issues, legal, social, financial, that are important to our industry. And we aim to provide guidelines, and as Kelly mentioned when she was taking you through the site, even templates that agencies could use and adopt to their own business models and use for themselves. So, it's really important that the association remembers that everyone's business is different. And we want to just provide the tools for each business to be set up for success. So what my artist needs are on a PO could be very different than what Carol's needs are. But if we start from the same guidelines, we can interpret them however we need to for what works for us. But if we all start from random places and are making it up as we go along, or not sure we're on equal footing, we're not in a strong enough position. So the AMA really just wants to provide all the necessary tools, and we'll do that through blog posts and resources and webinars and speakers, and hopefully when we can get back out into the world, in-person events. But there's lots of opportunity for us to learn from each other and kind of create these guidelines that will help us all move ahead.
Perfect. Okay, so back to you, Kelly. Will the AMA address diversity issues in the industry?
Yes, but I thought of a benefit after we moved on to Heather that I wanted to make sure that I highlighted, because the AMA can be so much more than just guidelines and templates. There's a real opportunity for us to champion for our industry with state and local legislatures and with clients directly. And I think that that's the will be one of the real power behind the association. I know that this is something that Howard and I have chatted a lot about. And Howard, do you want to talk a little bit about what we can do as an association? I feel like you'd be really well versed in that.
Well, I mean, it probably heads back to the AICP and some of the advancements they've had. I mean, they've got a single bid form, which we definitely can use. I think the usage terms would be incredibly helpful, and eventually, the goal would be to sit down with the 4As, and to hammer out some just general rules in terms of how they buy what we sell, because right now it's all over the place, and there's usage being taken away, but there's nothing being given back. And if we just sit here and watch it go by, we're just going to watch our business slowly disappear. So it's time we sat down at the table, and I think it's important that we even work with the AICP, because if we sit down at the table and create our own set of goals and get our own if we sit down without them, we're going to end up in two different places, and it's not going to be a good thing. So, you know, their business is based on a markup. Our business is based on usage, and somehow we need to maintain that.
And there's other things that we can do in terms that the CARES Act changed a lot of things, a lot of employment issues. We now have the AB5 law out here in California as well that is affecting a lot of us. And I know everyone wants to be in compliance with the laws, but as small business owners that are, you know, struggling to keep promotion going and check in on our artists with mental health and our employees' mental health, sometimes we just don't have that resource, that education. And that's another benefit of the association, to work to understand those laws and put out webinars and town halls where people can ask questions and educate everyone. You know, you look at what happened with payroll a few years ago, and now it's a standard in our industry. But a lot of us had to learn and understand and educate our clients. And if we had had this association at that time, that could have been the voice going out to clients and making them understand why we had to make those changes to our estimates.
Well, I appreciate you going there, but I would love to go back to the question that I had asked you, because I do love crosstalk. Heather will tell you, I like it when when things come up that need to be addressed and that need to be clarified. I love that. So, but I would love to go back to the question I had originally asked you, which was, will the AMA address diversity issues in the industry?
Absolutely. This is definitely a committee for and a priority for the AMA to increase diversity within our industry. And there are a lot of opportunities for it and a lot of frank conversations that we need to have as an association with our clients, especially around payment terms and advances. And what does that look like? What is the barrier of entry into our industry, and how do we change that? How do we champion diversifying the slate to not take work away from anyone else, but to create opportunities that's going to be better for our entire industry? This is something that the board believes in and that we absolutely want to hear from the membership about and work to create change.
Thank you for that. Stacy, can I go to you? Will there be legal services available to the membership?
We are going to offer education to our members in any changes to laws that would affect their talent and agencies. A couple of years ago, I represent a lot of set designers, and I got a sales tax audit. And they came back to me and said that I should have been taxing my set designers. Industry standard had always been, as I understood, that you do not tax set designers. New York State came back to me and said, well, they're not set designers, they're actually interior decorators, and that I should be taxing them. And, you know, I had a huge, you know, amount of money that I owed New York State. And, you know, since then I've tried to educate other people who represent set designers. In the beginning, it was really difficult to get clients to pay sales tax on set designers because every client came back and said, well, no one else does it. And I said, well, but I'm telling you, you know, I just had to pay all this money to New York State. So we want to be able to not have those situations happen to everyone. And as laws change and things come up, be able to educate our members. We'll also provide a list of vetted lawyers on both coasts that understand our unique industry because the rules are really different. So, you know, we're just looking to educate everyone and have everybody, you know what's going on and not be blindsided like I was in that situation.
We're going to get into everyone who's asking membership questions. I'm seeing you. I love how engaged you are. We're going to be answering membership questions in a little bit. So if you could just hold your horses, if you have horses to hold. Carol, can I go to you? Do you foresee hosting industry events, awards, similar to AICP?
Yes, our intention is to, as we've been all saying here, create community. And one of the ways that we can create community is by having events. In the beginning, for the next foreseeable future, they'll have to be virtual. But down the line, we would love to have events, all across the country. We really want to include as many, as we said. We're trying to encourage as much membership as possible from our industry, and by doing that, we'll create community, and then we will support the community with events. We would love to, develop a system of awards, maybe the template of AICP or something else, where we're recognizing people in our industry, that creatives or other agents or people that need to be recognized. That's a platform that will become important, I think, down the road, and this is an area which the committees will also be very involved with. We will have a committee that will, that will work on these kinds of ideas and concepts. As I said in the beginning, a lot of it will be virtual, but we want people, our intention is to bring people together. And I think events like this, or like different versions of this, really, really help. We started back in March or April, I believe. We had a town hall, and that was a really great way to start this off. And we are committed to continuing to bring people into the conversation and to be inclusive of everyone in the community.
That's a good answer. I did have a backwards question for a second. Somebody's asking, you mentioned lawyers that are going to be on a list of some kind that you're referencing. I believe Stacy just referenced that. Are there any lawyers that maybe are in the Midwest? And I'm not saying that you have to answer that necessarily right now, but if you would maybe think of it while you're compiling that, or go ahead.
I think we'll reach out to people who join from the Midwest and certainly ask them if they have any lawyers that they've used that they love and, understand our industry. We want to create a whole set of resources for the industry, whether it's, favorite caterers or equipment houses or studios. In the old days, there used to be kind of books that you'd have sitting on your desk, which had, all of those things in it. And we want to try to recreate something like that for our members, and, and have that information come from our members.
Yeah.
And also, and I want to just mention really quick, Heidi, this is for the whole country. It's not just East Coast, West Coast. It's not going to be LA and New York centric. The idea is to create something where the resources are across the country and they're available. We all need to feel like, we're trying to create community, and by sharing information about all different centers that work in our business, I think that will bring people together. It's, we want members from Chicago, we want members from San Francisco, we want people from, as many different places as possible.
Thank you. That was really helpful clarity, Carol. I'd like to go on, and I'm seeing a lot of membership questions, so I promise we'll get there. If we go a little long today, we're going to get there. Kelly, will there be guidelines we can share with our clients?
Absolutely. I mean, I go back to the usage glossary that we put together. I had 2 clients reach out to me this week asking a broad question about a certain type of new media that they were working on, and where would that fit? What would I think? And this could be so great if our site and our organization was a resource for our clients as well. when we all start speaking the same language, it creates less confusion and gives us all a great baseline to start to move forward. And I'm seeing the chat and all the things that people are asking about, you know, will you offer? They're amazing, amazing ideas. And absolutely, we want to offer all of it, but this is where we're here to say, come and join us, come and join a committee. I think that is what has been so incredible about this group of 7, is that when we come together, we say, who is going to do what and by when? And we are looking to expand that to the committees. Who out there can help us put together production guidelines, expand this usage glossary, and put a date on it so that we continue to turn out content that is important and relevant to our industry.
100%. I call that consensual language, right? I mean, when we're all, you know, sometimes they go, I don't think I have consensual language with that person, but you know what I'm saying? That's a little bit of a personal me thing, but it really is what you're talking about, right? It's everyone understanding what this language means, even if it's said slightly different.
Yes.
I think that's a really important point. Thank you for that. Let's get into membership, because it is the big question of the moment. So I'm going to go to you, Stacy. What will the membership requirements be? Will stylist agents be included in the association? I feel like this is your first compound question. Go.
So stylist agencies will be included. The association is open to any agency or person that represents talent. That talent could be illustrators, stylists, photographers, hair, makeup, CGI, whatever that is. At this time, we will not be accepting artists without representation.
So, okay, on that though, I sort of had a question, and I'm not sure if I'm sort of jumping the gun to a later question that I sort of have written out here, but are these resources, specifically since it's not about independent artists, are the resources that I'm getting the feeling that are really going to be helpful to, you know, say an art producer or a photographer or an independent artist of any kind? These resources, having access to them, would help to reinforce what you guys are trying to do, right? Like the standard of not uniformity, but thoughtful answers and industry standards that you're trying to press forward. So are these resources going to be behind a membership wall, or are there going to be some that are public and some that are not? Like, I apologize if I'm jumping the gun on some of the questions that I had written out and sent to you guys, but and who would like to answer that? Because you know, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but it really just occurred to me that would be relevant, and it is a question that's sort of.
I'm going to nominate Heather because Heather hasn't spoken as much as the rest of us.
Ooh.
She's so knowledgeable.
You know, look, we want to share as much, and we want to share everything. I mean, not just to the artist representatives. We want as much information to get out there as we can. Currently on our site, when you go and you play around on it, you will see that there are some things that are out there for the public, and there are other things that are behind the membership wall. So, you know, that's our opinion at this moment and where we're at and what we're sharing. We will be developing more resources. We will be getting more feedback. And, you know, it's not our intention to hold everything back, but being a member has its benefits. So we want to encourage people to join to get all those benefits. And at the same time, feel free to share them. So I would just say, our intention is to be as transparent and open and, you know, as we possibly can, while at the same time, you know, taking into account that we do have members and membership has its benefits.
Right, but when someone's not eligible for membership, but
Yeah.
those things, you know what I mean? So that
question and something we have to explore. I don't want to hold, you know, we're not being proprietary over our information because we have the usage glossary, but we don't want the photographer who doesn't have a representative to have access to it. So we need to figure out how to best disseminate that information in the most positive way. At this point, we're collecting the information, and we need more input from more people on how to make it even better before we, open the floodgates. So we'll figure out a way.
I think that's a really fair answer. You guys are at the beginning. I mean, these things evolve, and you're going to start hearing a lot more feedback than this is a nice moment where you're going to get that feedback. And I love how every answer and each one of you're also like, tell us, I think you're so open to that feedback. And so I think that's a really fair answer. Memberships, this thing is going to have a life. Membership matters, but also, thinking about all of these things.
Well, and maybe another way too to think about the membership is, and I'm riffing here, so any of you can jump in and tell me if I'm wrong, but be part of being a member means you're part of the conversation. Means you're going to be pushing the industry along. So maybe at that point, once we have something to share, then we talk about how it is that we share it to a wider group. But we really need those voices, and we really need those members to help us figure out what it is that we want our guidelines to be, what we want our templates to be, and how to keep them moving ahead and staying current and relevant to the industry that we're in. So, with the intention of sharing with everyone at some point, somehow, in some capacity. So
I think that's really fair. And I'm going to put Carol on the hot spot right now. Carol, how broad will the reach be? Is this just photo production world, or will it extend to film and TV?
And I just want to riff a little bit off what Heather said. Also, too, again, we're trying to get as much information as we can. We will find ways to get this information out. Our intention is to bring our clients into the conversation. We want artists, to understand what, even the artists we represent need to sometimes understand what usage is. So this is part of our educational, kind of component or committee. The reach will be as broad as, we want to, everything that we've talked about today. Making the reach broader will depend on these committees. It will depend on the membership. We're as strong as the people who join. We will, many of us represent photographers that also shoot motion, but the distinction has to be non-broadcast or non-union, because as Howard has explained, the AICP, that's their organization, but we are, and this is a big industry change, another change that we've all faced is the idea of shooting print and motion on jobs. And it's something that we, again, as a community need to come together on and to create some guidelines around. And so the reach will be as broad as we can make it right now. But again, our membership is agents who represent artists. Down the line, it could include other people, but for now, our focus is really on what we've been sharing today.
And Carol, one thing I want to say that we are hoping as well to have international agencies, not just agencies based in the US.
Yeah, we'd love to see this expand. Our original town hall, we had interest from agencies overseas, and a lot of the agents that are going to be joining us have offices in other countries. So thank you, Stacy. That's a really good point.
I also want to add that, I understand that this is focused on artist management agencies. And as business owners, we have some unique challenges that are different from independent photographers that we're trying to support our membership for. We are hoping to put together a member survey. How do you compensate employees? How do you pay out commission? How can we learn from one another in that capacity? And that is slightly different than what an unrepresented artist might be facing. But that's where a partnership with an APA can come into play, where we find that overlap, and we're looking for that overlap with other organizations. So, there are possibilities where we could absolutely expand the association, but there are also we want to be realistic about what we can tackle and the challenge that we have. And that's why we have carved out not just the industry as a whole, but our particular segment. And then finding partnerships with potential producers, if it should they organize with the APA, with the ASMP, like whatever we can do to partner with them with the AICP to further the industry as a whole, that's where we're going to have more power. But if we watered down and went too broad, we were concerned that we wouldn't be able to achieve the goals that we felt like we needed to achieve.
Fair enough. I'd like you to, Heather, if you can expand, when can people join and what is a founding member? You are on pause. No.
Sorry, there was some noise in the background here. People can join now. The website is live. And at this point, we're encouraging people to join as what you mentioned, our founding members. And doing so will help us bridge the gap from what the board has initially donated for our first investment and what we need to get us through to the start of the year when membership dues start. And the donation to be a founding member is $500. You'll be thanked on our website. And membership rates will be released in 2021. And we're suspecting that we're going to have some sort of sliding scale based on the amount of employees that you have. And it'll be some sort of monthly dues or quarterly dues or annual dues, but we're in the middle of figuring that out. And yeah, we'll have more information for you on that soon.
Okay, and there's
go to the website and please consider to be a founding member. We would love that.
So there is a question in the chat that actually asks about membership dues and so on. And, you know, it's asking here, does the membership fee live in an escrow account for unknown uses and needs to be coming up? And do the board members plan on drawing a salary or any compensation from these fees?
Well, as the treasurer, I can answer that. No, we are not getting any salary for this. There's no plans for that to happen. We are an official 501c6. We have a bank account that there are strict rules on who can take money out of and who can't. And we will also be publishing a budget that will live on our website. So our goal is to have pure transparency. We want you to know what we're up to and what your money is going towards. So, you know, we're not looking to get your money and run and do our own thing. We have plans, we have goals, we are putting it in writing, and, you know, we want you to make us accountable. So, but we also need you to participate, and we need the membership in order to make this happen. This isn't, you know, we've been running with this for 7 or 8 months now, and now we need to invite everyone in to help us bring it to the next level.
Well, I just want to make 2 suggestions that are coming in this side chat thing, is that maybe there's a division or a committee for unrepresented artists. Maybe some people are saying maybe you could do the same thing for producers. These are just some ideas. And there are some more specific questions that I feel like you guys are going to want to address from this chat, and I can certainly send that to you. You know, and where do these, here's the real question, is where do these guys send more questions for the organization? Is there, I would assume there's an email there for any further questions or any things of this nature?
Yeah, I mean, I would say go to the website and email the website. I'm seeing these questions here and I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's take those questions, and as a group, we will answer them individually. And either you can put them out on the workbook site, we could put them, we can find a place on our website for them to live. You know, we can have a frequently asked questions section where we're, you know, if we're seeing repetitive questions, we can easily put that up. You know, again, this is new for us, so we don't have a channel for that just yet, but know that it is a priority for us to get those questions answered and answer any new ones that come in. So use the website. Let's all get used to using it and replying and see how that goes.
And I think also, can I just say, Heidi, each one of the 7 of us, you know, are also happy to answer people's questions as much as we can. We're available. We're, you know, Heather pointed out, we're very transparent. What we're doing is completely, you know, is something that we're excited to share with people. And if any one of us, including Jen or Vanessa, can answer a question directly, we're more than happy to do that.
That's really helpful. And it's not like we can't find how to get in touch with you, right? I mean, you all have your get in touch with me emails on your individual websites, and I announced at the beginning, what those were. But I want to, I just wanted to address that because there are so many, and they're great questions, and there's good ideas going on here, and it's exactly what we're here to do. Is this, hey, let's bring more people into the process and hear all of these voices. So that's happening. I just wanted to figure out how we would address that globally. But I want to get back onto the questions. Okay, so Kelly, what will the website provide in terms of resources? I feel like we, talked about that a little bit, but would it be open to everyone, including clients? Will there be some parts that are members only? We touched on this obviously a little bit earlier, and I jumped the gun with my who gets to see what question, but did you want to go into that a little bit more?
Sure, and this is something that we're, as Heather said before, we're at the beginning, and we're here specifically not only to tell you about the association, but to get this feedback, to understand what it is that our future membership is looking for. So yes, all of the benefits that we've talked about and all of the things that we want to develop, it will be available on the website. We've talked about different tiers of membership, and maybe there's a membership that's just for the friends of the AMA. The reality is that it takes money to create these materials and develop them and to distribute them. So as much as we can make widely available, we want that education for our industry, but we also want to be able to make sure that we can fund the work that we're doing to put it out there. Again, no one on this board is making any money from this. This is really a nonprofit that is meant to lift our industry.
Thank you. That's an important distinction. This last question for you, but I'd love anybody else to chime in if they would like to, which is, what would you like to end with? Kelly, I'm talking to you.
Oh, me, okay. Well, I just want to stress again that we are looking for people's participation. This organization will be as strong as those who want to have a voice and be heard. And we are wanting as diverse a group as possible, not only in the types of artists that people represent, but within the makeup of who they are, so that it represents everyone's needs. So we really are here to ask for everyone's help in making this a success and letting us know what your priorities are so that we can work towards lifting our industry up as a whole.
We've all had, difficult conversations with an art buyer, and wouldn't it be so nice to just say to them, well, these are the AMA guidelines, and not have to, just fight and explain yourself so much, and know that we're all on the same page together. I mean, 2020 has been such a shitty year for everybody in so many ways. And I think it's the most important time to have civility and for us all to come together and realize that there's work for everyone and we're stronger together. And so that's what
how great would it be if we can include those art producers in those conversations to figure out how we can all work better together. So not just going to them and saying, here's what we need, and this is what the AMA says it is, but having them been part of those conversations of figuring out what those guidelines are, having their input.
And Heidi, one thing I want to talk about here, just in closing too, is that, we have an incredible industry, and, I've had an amazing career. Howard and I have been doing this for a while, the experiences we've had, the people we've met, but we also really want to encourage people to enter our industry. We want to support the younger agents, the people who are just starting out. As Kelly mentioned, diversity. We want, the more established, the larger agencies. We want the fashion agencies. We want the smaller agents, people that represent only a couple of artists. We have a broad range in the industry, but also, we want to create like a legacy. We want there to be this organization that people can turn to or reference or become a member of as they enter our industry and get excited about, everything that we've been experiencing as a collective group for years. The idea is to keep this going forward. It's really important to us. I think that, we can be this resource that people can look to and become, feel that they're part of something that's important, and we've never really had that in our part of the industry.
Well, I think it could also make you feel emboldened, right? And confidence. And having when you are, somebody used the wonderful slogan, we're better together, right? I mean, when you have compatriots in an industry where you are, when you have peers in an industry that is very isolated, right? You all have these independent places where there's no water, water cooler, where people get together and are talking about their common struggles. That in an industry where you're all small businesses, even if you're a big business, but you know what I'm saying, and this allows that space for the collaboration and for
and also to figure out who are next, like who we are as the next best industry, right? Who are we about to become? Our industry has been changing for a long time, and where we are right now is not where we're going to be in 5 and 10 years. So we need to collectively come together and figure that out together. What does the future of our industry look like? And how can we fold in independent artists? How can we get, unrepresented artists or producers or, other reps? Like our industry as a whole needs to come together and collaborate with the different organizations so that we all have a voice to figure out how we can all better move forward.
Well, I think that is a perfect place to end. That was wonderful, and I think you're all wonderful. I'm excited to hear what's going to happen next, and I'm happy launch day. Yeah, if that's a thing, and so I want to just take a second to say thank you. I usually end these webinars, or we do usually, on our silver linings, but I think that you guys coming together and doing this is a nice silver lining, of the times that we are in now, where we are now. What's our silver linings? This feels like a nice one. So it feels proactive, and that's the idea, I think, right?
Thank you, Heidi, for having us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you'll collect all the questions for us, right?
I feel like I can download a report. Jim, I know you're there. Can you say yes or no? Can we download that report so that I can send it to you guys, and then you can, decide how you'd like to answer everyone? Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. We can send them the report.
Fantastic.
Hidden behind Jim is the great and powerful Oz, who helps us, and this is actually something that I should do more often. I don't thank Jim enough for all the hard work that he does on these webinars. He is the great and powerful Oz, and he operates it without being a cuckoo bird, which obviously that's the reference I just made of the great and powerful Oz. So thank you, everyone. Anybody who has any more questions, obviously you can connect with these guys directly. You can also, send anything to me. I'd be happy to forward anything along. I just want to say thank you to everyone. We are only 4 minutes over, and I can't even believe that, because there was such a great conversation and it went so organically and well. So thank you, everyone. And at the end, we're all just going to wave goodbye, because then I hit the thing and it doesn't get awkward. Like, did she turn it off? Is it still going? So we're just all going to wave goodbye, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you.
Later. Thanks, Heidi. Thank you, everyone.